Hi, I'm Luke McIntosh, creator of BecomeABassist.com, and in this lesson you're going to learn the shape method for learning your major scale. When you learn this one shape, you instantly know all of your major scales in every key. Now, the major scale is incredibly useful. It's one of the most common sounds in Western music. It's pretty much everywhere. And when you learn it, not only is it useful by itself, but you can do so much with it. From the major scale, you can create chords and use the modes of the major scale and everything like that. Now, we won't be getting into all that stuff in this particular lesson. This is just about learning your basic major scale. The first method we're going to use to think about the major scale and build the major scale is something called the shape method. Now, you may not know this, but you don't necessarily need to learn all 12 major scales. In fact, you can learn just one shape and then plug that shape in all over your fretboard, and it's like you've learnt 12 different scales, even though you've only learnt one shape. Very useful, right? So let's learn this shape. So for this, we're going to use all four fingers of the left hand, and let's do this one in A major. So we're going to start on this A right here, but we're going to start with our second finger. Middle finger right there on the 5th fret, that A right there. Now, if we just use one finger per fret, what's going to happen is we're going to have the A on this one, on the second finger. That means your index finger is going to be hovering over the 4th fret, your ring finger right here is going to be hovering over the 6th fret, and your 7th fret is going to be kind of assigned to that pinky right there. Now, your hand's not going to move from this position. 4th fret's always going to be index, then 5th fret middle, ring, and pinky right there. Yeah, so that's not going to change. So learning this shape, super simple. All you have to do is plug in on the E string your middle finger and your pinky finger right there. Yeah, so just that right there. If you go up to the A string, next thing you're going to do is plug in your index finger, middle finger, and pinky finger right there. So far we've got just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, middle, pinky, index, middle, pinky. And the last three notes, we're going to be up on the next string, on the D string in this case. We're going to go, once again, index, this time ring finger, then pinky. Yeah, so we've got, and coming back down. Very simple. Once more, we've got middle, pinky, index, middle, pinky, index, ring, pinky. Now this shape works over the entirety of your whole bass. We can play it up here. The same exact major scale, just up an octave. That was on the A string, so this works whether you start on the E or the A string. You can play it down here. Major scale. Major scale. Major scale. Major scale. So we've just learnt one shape, and now we can kind of transpose it to all these different parts of our bass, and we know essentially all of our major scales. For example, if you needed to play a D major scale, all you would need to do is find a D on the E or the A string and just plug in that shape. So there's a D right here on the 10th fret, so you can just plug in that shape there. There's also a D on the A string down here on the 5th fret. And you're just plugging in that shape, and that's your D major scale. It's super simple. You just need to know your first note, and then you've got all 12 major scales right underneath your fingers. Now this is great because it requires very little thought essentially, but this can also be a disadvantage because you're not really understanding what's going on behind the scenes and how this scale works. That's why I've put together the ultimate guide to the major scale for you. Inside it, you'll learn the inner workings of the major scale, how it's put together. You'll also get more ways to play it, plus a way of practicing it and internalizing it that makes it feel a lot more like music and a lot less like a kind of dull technical exercise. To get it, just follow the link in the description and sign up on the site, and I'll send it straight to you. So to recap, you learned all about the shape method for learning the major scales on your bass. You learned that you don't necessarily need to know all of the individual notes of every individual major scale. You can just learn one shape and plug it in all over your bass fretboard. You learned that it works starting on either the E or the A string. You just need to find that first note and plug the shape in. You also learned that this method is useful, but it's not quite ideal because it doesn't give you any kind of deeper understanding about how the scale works. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. My name's Luke McIntosh, and I'll see you very soon.